Good morning, everyone. My name is Michael Chang, the Business Development Director from AmSolar, and I'll be your host and moderator for the session today. To start off, I would like to thank everyone for allocating your time for today's webinar and appreciate and hope that our sharing today will be beneficial to your business. And firstly, wishing everyone a good health, as I've just recovered from a bad bout of COVID. So today's topic, better than Capex, zero Capex, and maximizing your cash, or maximize your cash. Allow me a few minutes of short introduction. There is definitely a growing interest and adoption in using solar PV systems as part of renewable energy in the commercial and industrial sector, especially so in the manufacturing arena. So there are some key drivers, cost savings being one of them. We all understand there is increasing materials, shipping, labor, and energy costs. As some of you may know, TNB actually has increased the ICPT from beginning of this year and maintaining it for the rest of the year. However, this is costing the government about 7 billion ringgit for the first half and likely to cost 20 billion for the whole year. So this is a big driver in itself. Secondly, ESG is also another important driver. Reducing carbon footprint, reducing use of energy, and ESG reporting as well as compliance required by multinationals and the supply chain is becoming increasingly more and more common. And of course, carbon reduction in some ways also is translatable to monetary value. Against all the uncertainties we see, supply chain disruption, global shipping costs rising, global conflict, and definitely rising energy prices. Against all that, we can grab on to the certainty of the sun shining and generating electricity, giving us savings, and be in control of a portion of your energy costs and maximize your profits. Definitely, there are various means to acquire a solar PV system, whether it be internal generated funds, bank financing, leasing, and more recently, zero Capex seems to be quite popular. Is it really the best choice for your business? How can you maximize your cash flow? Today, we will explore this topic and look at some pros and cons. Using a sample case study, we hope to help you understand better how you can acquire a solar PV system with smart financing and get attractive returns and have good cash flow. So before we go on, a short agenda for today. We will have two speakers. First, Skip Ng from AmSolar will share with us. And then next, we have Mr. Roy Hiong from Alliance Bank Malaysia Berhad. And after that, we will have a panelist dialogue where we will dialogue a little bit more with our two speakers. And we will have a Q&A session before we close off. So as we move on, next. First, I would like to introduce our first speaker. Skip Ng comes with more than 10 years of project management and consultancy experience in the solar industry and is one of the co-founders of AmSolar Sdn Bhd, a registered PV service provider with SEDA. And Skip actually graduated from Trinity University of Texas with a Bachelor in Science in Engineering and an MBA. Before starting AmSolar, he has worked for various American multinationals such as Hewlett-Packard, Siemens, Western Digital in Penang and KL. So now I will pass the stage over to Skip. Over to you, Skip.
Thank you, Michael. Welcome all the participants. I think I've seen the list. There are some who have been with us before. We have. I'm very happy or very excited that this is our 10th webinar with FMM. So as I let me first introduce the company to you. I think some of you might not know AmSolar. We have been in the business for more than 10 years, and including all the involvement in large-scale solar program, we basically claim that we have more than 155 megawatt of experience. In the last maybe 5-6 years, we are very much involved in commercial industrial rooftop. Prior to that, we were in the FIT solar farm development and installations. Of course, we are full service EPC, and we do the whole work. So the whole works includes the power energy monitoring, which we'll talk about more later. We Of course, our main focus is in the solar PV business. We do the whole works from design all the way to testing. Important part of what we do is actually financial consultancy. End of the day, what we are all interested in is how much return do we have in our investment. And in our team, we are fortunate to have centered strong team to be able to advise our customers on financial modeling, and that's a key role that we play in a large-scale solar farm. Of course, in other authority-related issues such as MIDA, SEDA, and the like. And on the side, besides this, we are involved in the economics. We do some research. We also do some training. Yeah, so that is the scope of what we do. And today we are going to talk about better than zero capex. So a lot of people are flaunting this word zero capex. So we are very excited to say, hey, I don't need to spend any money, and I get the benefit. So I have 2 points to share with you today. Okay, one is that investing in the solar PV system yourself is a better option than going zero capex. I believe that for all of us, if you invest in the system yourself, your total cost of energy in terms of kilowatt hour, we are sitting here about 12.4 cents per kilowatt hour. And the term levelized cost of electricity actually means your cost taking into account all your additional peripheral costs, such as maintenance, your whatever other costs that you need, and you average out. So this is your levelized cost of energy. You compare that to what the developer of zero capex will tell you. They will ask you to sign an agreement for 25 years, offer you 28 cents, maybe 26 cents, maybe, compared to what you are paying. You are probably paying, depends on what tariff you are, anything between 35 cents all the way to 50, 60 cents. Yeah, so what does zero capex offer? Essentially, zero capex, my second point I want to share with you is that in the whole exercise, you will enjoy positive cash flow from day one. This is the second point that I'm going to share with you today. So the first point is that doing the system yourself is better than zero capex. The second is, of course, you will enjoy positive cash flow from day one with the assistance, with the offer from Alliance Bank. So what does zero capex offer us? Well, it offers us zero risk. You don't pay any money, and of course, you will only pay for whatever generation that comes out from the solar PV system. So what does the developer promise you, or what you're getting into when you sign a zero capex agreement? So one, you are talking about a long-term commitment. Agreement is actually easily 25 years. And what you don't know is there are many fine prints. There are a lot of terms and conditions that tie you down on this zero capex. Essentially, you are going into a PPA, power purchase agreement, just like what TNB signed with a lot of their suppliers, energy suppliers, commitment 25 years. So you sign with the developer a 25 years commitment. Next, these are the pros and cons, the advantage and disadvantages of signing up with zero capex. So of course, the advantage, the promise to you is no upfront, no maintenance. You pay as you generate or as you use, depends, and no trouble. They take care of everything, and no financing costs. Of course, the advantage, what we are trying to tell you is that the disadvantage is that you will be sharing an essential part of your income, your potential income, because essentially you are saving that money, and whatever money that you can save goes down to your bottom line. Secondly, as we just stated, this amount of cost that you spend on the energy is an opportunity for you to contribute to your bottom line. And thirdly, of course, the disadvantage is that you are locked into a 25 years. I want to use the word inflexible power purchase agreement. So what happened along the way, your business changed. You, after 5 years, after 10 years, you want to move to a new factory. What happened? So you are now tied down to a commitment which make it difficult for you to be flexible. So in business, you don't want to be. The next thing I will share with you is it is very similar to what the bank will look at, or the developer have, as we state here, also want to cover their own risk. So how can you create your own risk-free investment? So I'm going to share with you. So these are how you're going to make it happen. One, of course, that you look for a service provider, somebody who you can work with to build a solar PV system, okay, for you. Secondly, you have to make sure that over the period of time, you will enjoy the promise given to you. Promise meaning the energy that the developer, the solar service provider tell you that it can generate. So to ensure that you can generate, you tie down with a long-term maintenance contract. You do a short-term, of course you can, but you will face many risk problems in the future. Possibly system go down and you will be searching for somebody to assist you. The 10-year service contract, a comprehensive service contract, is same as your zero capex. They ensure that whenever things go wrong, they will make sure that it comes up, and there will be a performance guarantee tied to this service agreement. What is performance guarantee? It means that at the end of the year, end of the month, you will enjoy the amount of energy to generate. Of course, just like to cover any of your big investment, you need to have insurance to cover your investment. And in this case, there is a specialized solar insurance that specifically insure your generation. It means that if for whatever reason your investment does not generate the energy for you, okay, if it does not generate the energy for you, you can claim it back from the insurance company. And of course, with all these three points, you can now go and calculate, how much is your energy cost. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you a case example. So let's look at a simple calculation. A 1 megawatt system in the market is probably costing you about 3 million. This is slightly on the high side. You probably can get for 2.something million, 2.8, 2.9 million. You take into account the annual maintenance costs, and including insurance is probably around the 3% Capex, okay? And of course, you take into account an inflation cost over time. Every year, there's a certain amount of inflation. And you have to take into account, of course, the system's degradation, because over time, your system will degrade, and in a very small manner. It's probably with the new solar panel, it's now talking about 0.4% a year, which is very, very minimal. And the solar panel companies is guaranteeing that at the end of now 30 years, okay, now the new panel come out, they give you a 30-year yield warranty, meaning at the end of 30 years, you can get a good 90% or so of your system's original generation. Okay, so we go into the detail with that 1 megawatt PV system. You will be able to you will cost you the maintenance cost about 800 over 1,000. 870 over 1,000 for 10 years. And if you look at the 10 years and calculate the LCOE, the generation in 10 years is about 12 million kilowatt hour. And now you add your maintenance cost to your Capex, which is 3 million at the top of it. And then you divide with the 12 million kilowatt hour, you will get the cost of electricity generation, which is about the 23 cents, 24 cents per kilowatt hour. The government is giving incentive, which is a Capex, investment tax allowance, and you take that into account. That's where you get your 12.46 cents per kilowatt hour. And now if you look at a longer visibility, we look at 25 years, you do likewise, you will then see about 10 cents per kilowatt hour. So you can compare that number, what I give you earlier, to your zero Capex number, which is more than double of what this number is. My next slide will talk about the same thing, but now in a bigger complex number. Okay, we talk about the total generation. Okay, for the 25 years, your cost of electricity, if you are paying 35, this is the tariff E1, E2. Okay, if you do not have a solar PV system, and what is your electricity cost? At one hand, on the left-hand side, if zero Capex, you will pay to your developer. On the right-hand side is the LCOE. What's your effective cost, which essentially your Capex, you pay upfront $3 million plus your O&M cost over the 25 years. On your right-hand side, the total cost of electricity, because there's no fuel, the sun comes out every day, and you don't need to pay any money for additional costs. There's no more additional cost in your operation of a system. Okay, and in the first case, for zero Capex, at the end of 25 years, you will enjoy a savings. So 3.4 million, a very big number. But if you look at on the right hand side, after 25 years, if you would have invested on your own system, you will enjoy a savings of easily more than $10 million. And you will compare the difference of what you would have, what's the difference between investing yourself or zero Capex. You know, zero Capex promise you only 3.4 million after 25 years savings. And now you're talking about 9 point something. You have essentially more than 6 million ringgit difference. So I will going to share the numbers all in one screen. Okay, you have no logic. There's no logic in terms of how this relates to one another, but you see that on the bottom of the table, your cost of electricity if you have invested in yourself. Okay, if you take into account a 10-year time horizon, you're looking at about 12 cents, 12.46 cents. If you look at the 25 years timeline, you're looking at about 10 cents cost of electricity. Whereas if you go for a zero Capex deal, they will probably promise you about 28 cents. Depends on your risk level. Sometimes it'll be different, because if you are a very stable company, multinational, for example, you can get as low as 25 cents maybe, or 26 cents. But if you are a small SME and if they want to take your risk, you may be paying 30 cents or more. Okay, that depends on your how they perceive you as your risk. So on your right-hand side, of course, is the tariff that you are paying. If you are using a commercial tariff, which is tariff B, your normal shop or showroom, you are probably paying a 50.9 cents tariff B. If you are in a small industrial lot, you are paying 44.1 cents. And of course, your commercial and your industrial, you're paying your 33.5, 35 cents and the like. So that is the comparison of the dollar and cents per kilowatt hour in terms of electricity. So you imagine how much money TNB makes from you, and the option, how much you can save by going zero Capex versus your own expense, your own investment in your system. So why is there such a difference? Of course, we can say that the developer need to make money, but besides that, one of the reasons is that the incentive by the government is only enjoyed. It can only be enjoyed by the user or the investor. Okay, if I am the developer, if I want to invest in your requirement of solar PV system, I do not enjoy the 24%. So that is part of the reason why you are seeing such a big difference. Of course, the second is that the developer need to make a profit, and on top of it, the developer need to fund this project, and of course at the end, there is an option that you might be able to buy out, but if you do that, you will not enjoy the incentive by our Malaysian government anymore. The incentive will only last till 2023. So take advantage of this when of this incentive this year, and I think the latest is next year. I'm not thinking, but rather I'm very sure it will be next year. So my next slide is that basically telling you what it's like to invest in a zero capex. It's like buying it on a credit card and you pay over 25 years. It's a very expensive affair. Anything between 16–18% per year. And part of this whole presentation today is Alliance Bank. We team with Alliance Bank, and Alliance Bank actually have an offer, part of a government program for a low carbon transition. It's a facility Bank Negara provide, and at the end of it, the summary of it is that the rate is about 2.8% over a 10-year for a 90% margin, and you can finance all the way up to 10 million ringgit. So if you go into the detail, okay, let me share with you the detail in the next few slides. Okay, now with the upfront cost of about 10% of your investment, you can enjoy a low LCOE, because with borrowing a bank, you can still enjoy the government incentive. And the most important part is that it will not hurt your cash flow. So I will share with you next is a very detailed financial analysis. Don't need to look at all the numbers, but look at the far end. Okay, far end is basically your positive cash flow from day one. Essentially, it is like, you go in and sign a piece of paper, and the bank will tell you, okay, this year, at the end of this year, you have extra $1 million for you to use. It come from your savings of your electricity, your savings from the tax, because of the incentive the government give. Essentially, it's a tax investment. It's a tax allowance. It's a investment tax allowance. So you save from your tax, you tax on your electricity and all that, and you will result in a positive cash flow for you from day one. All your tax add to it, and after that, of course, the generation of savings on your electricity bills minus what you pay to Alliance Bank. Okay, the column number 4 from your right, blue color, 3, in this case 345,000. Your savings is 400 over 1,000. You will enjoy 100 over 1,000 savings, and it grows because the electricity cost will continue to increase. And after you pay the bank, of course, you enjoy a big savings from there. So the choice is yours, whether you let somebody make your money or you make your money yourself. So why AmSolar? So we want to pitch again that we are an owner-run company for more than 12 years. We have a strong engineering design and capability, as well as a good supplier and network. And we have been delivering very good projects. Our projects includes what we want to boast about, of course, is Ajia. Ajia is a listed company, and they are a roof manufacturer. And of course, we learn a lot from this roof manufacturer, things that you cannot do and things you can do. We were disciplined by them, part of the learning process. Of course, the second interesting project we have is what you've seen in the video. It is a full engineering delivery project, includes structure and solar PV system. The third is actually in the background. This is engineering project because we improve the harvesting of energy by tilting the solar panel to the sun, because on the left-hand side, in this case, on the left-hand side is another tall building which will create shade to this installation. So if somebody tell you that, hey, your building have a permanent shade and it is not good for installing solar PV system, let's look at it. We might be able to find a solution for you. We also assist people to invest, to be an investor. As much as I tell you that, you know, it is good for you to invest in yourself, but sometimes there are other opportunities for other people who either own a lot of property and they can be a solar PV investor. They can sell energy. Yeah, and of course, we, as I said earlier, we are players in the large-scale solar program. Yeah, and lastly, our signature project includes several multinational. In this case, Omia and Cummins, Omia in Ipoh, and you see from our profile picture somewhere later, beautiful landscape of the hills in Ipoh. That is Omia, and Cummins is the American multinational. And we also have another customer, BizLink, which is also an American multinational. So this more or less summarize what I plan to tell you. Okay, basically there are two messages. One is that doing it yourself, investing in a solar PV system, is a better option than going by zero capex. Okay, to many of us. And second, of course, is that partnering with Alliance Bank give you an opportunity for positive cash flow from day one. So thank you very much. I will see you again. I pass the time back to Michael. Yeah, Michael. Yeah.
Thank you, Skip, for informative and enlightening sharing, and also your pro and cons, especially the compelling numbers in the case study. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have questions, you can key it in the Q&A tab and we will try and answer them later on. So coming up next, we would have Mr. Roy Hyung, who is the head of strategic partnerships for Alliance Bank, Malaysia Berhad. His team seeks to collaborate and seek out businesses as well as work with ecosystems to develop new ideas, build new customers, revenue, and cost efficiency. And you will hear this again, that these are all delivered via the BizSmart Solution portal, an online B2B community portal that helps businesses to digitize, generate online sales, manage operational costs, upskill employees, as well as enjoying preferential rates with solution providers and financial offerings. So without further ado, over to you, Roy.
Thank you, Michael, Skip. Thanks for the introduction and the kind words. Good morning, everyone. So as mentioned, my name is Roy, and today I just want to share a little bit about Alliance Bank's Sustainability Assistance Program. So if you ask what is all this about, essentially it is how different Alliance Bank is compared to others when it comes to financing of green projects, right? Solar included. We have a holistic program from end to end that include financing, but not just financing. Actually, the purpose of this program is to enable all the companies to embark their sustainability journey, right, and become successful in it. So our belief is no point to just finance, but at the end of the day, the company cannot get to their objective of being better at sustainability, right? So we believe financing is an important part of it, but it's not the only part of it. And that is the Sustainability Assistance Program that I would like to share today. So if we go to the next slide. And this is something that I think not strange to anyone here, right? But essentially we do see even among our own clients, corporate clients, and discussions that we have had with our strategic partners, which you see later, like Bursa Malaysia, and Green Tech Malaysia, United Nations. These are some of our partners. They do tell us that the global trends are changing very, very rapidly, right? To the extent that it can even be sometimes overnight, right? Where green policies come out in terms of procurement, vendor, supplier selections, and investing, right? So what it means to say is there is critical importance for all companies, especially those in manufacturing sector, to be very interested, right, in this area of improving sustainability. So next. So for Alliance Bank, our view is that there are a few parts to the sustainability journey, right? And we'll see that in the later slides as well. But to summarize it, the first part is to understand what is the gap analysis, and do an assessment. Where are we today, right? And the second part after that is to then build a roadmap that is where we want to go, right? Before we understand where we are and what are the areas we need to improve, and ultimately where this leads us, then it's very difficult to every time ad hoc just do some green project here and there, right? You cannot get the impact as a company, both sometimes in terms of the cost saving or even in terms of your profiling to clients and investors, right? The third part of that is after you know what you need to do and where are the areas of improvement, where are the solutions? So that's the other thing that we provide as well, as you see later on, right? We have a full range of solutions, obviously AmSolar being our solar partner, but there are other solutions beyond solar as well, which we can go into a little bit. And of course, the fourth part is to provide the capital and the financing support to ensure that this journey can be completed end to end, not just start halfway, maybe due to cash flow or whatever, right? So this is where we want to talk on a bit today. Next. So in terms of our Alliance Bank Sustainability Assistance Program, we look at it in generally 6 areas. These may not be the only areas, but these are generally the 6 that are important for whole holistic completion of the journey, right? The first one I spoke about already is a gap analysis, roadmap, and ability to understand what we need to do, right? The second is about how we can then do matching, business matching of companies that are sustainable to companies who are looking for sustainable partners, right? Or vendors, right? So that is contain a lot of it within our client base, but there are other reaching out kind of opportunity, market outreach opportunity. The third one would be the solutions, right? If you want to improve, you need reputable and good people to become your solution provider, right? Someone who can be around a longer time, someone who has expertise, such as like what Skip was showing, of doing many project references. So basically, not someone just very, very new and unknown, right? And that's the kind of due diligence that the bank puts towards solution providers if we recommend them. Number 4 is to give more awareness and brand visibility to those companies that work with us so that we can highlight all their sustainable improvements, right? So sustainability is about doing, but sustainability is also about letting other people know, right? If you do, but nobody knows, it's going to be a challenge as well. The fifth one is to open up some opportunity of beyond Malaysia, right? To look at export, not just in the traditional modern trade through agents, but using digital, right? So we have a lot of digital partners who are very good at helping companies to profile themselves and market themselves on Alibaba and other e-platforms. And if anyone needs help there, we are more than happy to help because it's linked into the ESG and sustainability, right? In order for you to be successful, you must also show that you have sustainable practices. Otherwise, very difficult for international companies to buy from you. And a final one is financing, where we will provide the capital support. So these are the 6 areas, and let's go through a little bit to it. The next slide. So in the next slide, we have a very comprehensive assessment and gap analysis program. The first level is free of charge. Of course, some companies then embark on deeper levels with the particular partners that we have. One of it for listed companies is Bursa Malaysia. That is our strategic partner. For SMEs, is actually through United Nations. So the United Nations Global Compact runs a program where they assess where SMEs are and provide solutions and recommendations. Of course, a deeper consultancy may have some payment, but generally these are much lower than those brand name consultancy firms, right? The Big Four and all that, right? So ultimately, the objective is to understand what are the areas to improve, and so that there's a very structured roadmap to improve it, right? And so it's not like an ad hoc, just here and there do some improvement. Okay, next. Now, of course, there is also need to be a plan in how do we do reporting, right? So this is one of the area where even among listed companies that we have spoken to is actually still quite poor, right? The understanding of what I need to report and how should I report it, right? So we do have partners who can help in this area and advise in this area, or we have trainings that are quite affordable through our partners that can help the company to do it themselves, right? And become better at their staff become better at reporting the sustainability improvement that they have done. Okay, next. So I spoke about some of these business matching and opportunities to further profile your business, right? So we run programs where our clients, we try to match them with our own base of clients. Of course, the bank has more than 70,000 SMEs and commercial clients within our base. We have also have initiatives to reach out to this. We are able to reach out to this base because they are our clients, especially if there are companies who are interested and have good products or good solutions, right? So we're always willing to have a discussion on partnership in this area. Secondly, because of our relationship with Malaysia Green Tech, MJTC, being the only bank that signed an MOU with them, we're able to get very good positions within some of their events. And the upcoming one is iGEM, going to be held in Kuala Lumpur, KLCC convention, right? And it brings companies from all over the world, right? So if there are good profile that want to be shared to both local companies as global companies, then this is quite a good platform to be part of this kind of like expo, right? And basically this is one of the largest green. It is the largest green expo in Malaysia, right, happening this year. And of course, I spoke about e-platforms, right? Alibaba is just one of it. There are also some local platforms, and there are also some grants by Matrade, right, that can be implemented to reduce the costing, right? Next. So the other thing, I think Skip has gone through this, I won't go through it, but generally when you do implementation, you do get tax incentives. That's going to reduce the cost of implementation greatly. And secondly, I mentioned that within our BizSmart Solution, which is our B2B portal, so we are one of the banks, one of the only banks that has this business-to-business portal where we're actually doing networking and connections, right? We're looking to connect companies with solutions that they need. That's number one. Secondly, we are also happy to promote any company who has good solutions that they think that other people need or they can help other people, right? So it's basically a two-way relationship, right? So we are the team that is in charge of this. So if there's anyone who is interested to listen more, we're more than happy to have a conversation and do a meetup, just to share more and discuss. Okay, next. We also do a lot of PR highlight. So we use our bank's network of media, whether it be through The Age or it could be through other publications, also through our own social media and website. We have a lot of opportunity as a bank to be able to promote our clients. Of course, we need a good story. And right now, the good story are, a lot of publications are looking for, hey, anyone got very interesting improvements in ESG and sustainability. We highlight the project, we highlight the company's directions in this area, and that helps to bring up the brand profile of the company a lot more. So we have been doing some of this, as you can see. We even work with some of our partners, Bursa being our partner, to have slots in their space sometimes, right? So open for a good story, basically, that can be crafted. Next. So now we come to something that also Skip has touched on, right? So I will just look at it from not as deep level as him, but generally we know that there's two options. To keep it simple, you can finance and self-funded it yourself, or you can get someone to invest and you don't come up with any effects at all. Now, obviously, both of them have their advantages and disadvantages, but I will just highlight a few. The first one, to me, option A is always the best option, because if you can finance it, anyway, you will not be paying more monthly because there is a positive cash flow from the savings. That is because when you finance it yourself, you are not sharing your electricity saving on your own rooftop to someone else. Yeah, number one. Number two, you don't enter into any long-term contract with some other third party, which is again on your own property, right? So some owners or some businesses feel that that is actually quite a lot of T&C and restrictive when they get into a power purchase agreement for a period of almost 20 years. That's a long time. Yeah. So the other thing, of course, is the enjoyment of green tax benefits. So in short, you will pay less when you self-funded it. You don't pay anything. Your loan installment is always covered by the electric saving, right? And you're not in any long-term contract with any third party, right? Of course, on the zero Capex, this is still an option that some people get into, right? It's very attractive is because obviously you don't need to do anything, right? In that sense, right? You're just offering your rooftop for that, although it's a long term. But one thing that needs to be considered is that it is not without evaluation, right? So when a bank provides, someone must fund it. So the bank is funding the solar provider in this case, or the investor, to invest in the system that is placed on the company rooftop for zero Capex. That company is also being evaluated by the bank, actually, right? Quite similar to if evaluating for self-financing. So if there is a company who do not qualify for financing, they may not also get through the door through a zero Capex, right? So that is something that need to be taken aware of, right? There is evaluations. It is not without any evaluations at all. Of course, the savings is lower because it's shared, right? But on both sides, we as a bank, whether we are providing the investment fund or providing the self-funding, we want to work only with reputable providers, quality providers, because solar is always a long-term project, not a short-term. Okay, so next. This is what I think, Skip, you have shared a little bit. Thank you for that. It's a bank product, obviously. Yeah, you're very well versed. The effective interest rate is 5%. It's fixed, so there's one good consideration, right? As interest rates rise, this number is fixed, right? And you can take it up to 10 years, right? So you're also hedging your interest rate. The second part of it is that it's an effective rate, means it's reducing term, is equivalent to about a 2.8% of a HP rate. Yeah. So actually, in today's interest rate environment, it is quite a good deal. The other thing is that there is no collateral. So if you have to place collateral with perhaps with other banks, the property must be charged and all that. This one is quite clean, you can call it, right? And therefore it is another kind of like fast financing, right? And of course we can get it to be quite cash flow positive. That's something that we work with AmSolar for the calculations and financial modeling. Okay, so happy to of course have more questions on this later on as well, or even in a separate meeting. Next. Of course, other than solar financing, we do have other form of financing. Some companies take solar plus others, right, that are required. So I don't go through that. I think that one can be quite familiar to most people here, except the fact that we also do sustainability links to Sukuk or bonds for the larger companies, right, on top of the usual working capital financing. Next. Our experience in ESG financing is quite vast. Of course, we've done a lot of commercial industrial. There's quite a standard. but also on top of that, large-scale projects, large-scale solars, as well as in terms of biogas, biomass, and even sustainable farming. So we have quite diverse range of financing for green tech, right? Not just contained within solar. Next. All right, so I think I end on this slide and get into the Q&A. But this is something again that has been shared before. Just reconfirm it, right? We want to work with Alliance Bank working with AmSolar to ensure that there is a positive cash flow when you invest in your solar system, right? And on top of that, there is a complimentary deal that worth almost 28,000 as an exclusive offer that AmSolar is also providing today. Okay, so check us out. Later, I will put my details for contact in the message box. I hope to hear from quite a lot of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, Roy, for sharing on the various sustainability initiatives and great engaging programs that Alliance Bank provides. Definitely going beyond financing and providing comprehensive step-by-step programs with strong partners to deliver real results for participating companies. So coming up next, we will have a dialogue session. We will invite back Skip, and with our two expert guests, we will pose them some questions. And to start off, first question for Roy. How does the journey looks like for companies who are wanting to embark on this sustainability journey with the bank? Where do they start?
Okay, so the start is not at the financing, right? So I just put that, right? The first thing to understand is that actually what do you need, right? Is a gap analysis. Where are you today, right? Just like any journey, right? Where are we today? And what do we need to do, right? To get to the end destination, which obviously is to become a great sustainable company. So we provide gap analysis, assessment. The second thing after that, that's number one. Then number two, we then work with the company to come up with a roadmap, right? So there's a plan. There's a plan of, and don't need to be something that is very, aggressive, like many pages. It can even be a simple plan. And some of it need not be immediate, right? But at least there is a plan and a vision of what are the areas that I will need to be focused on and work on, right? Because sustainability is not just one, it's not just solar, right? There is also water requirements, supply chain requirements, regulatory requirements that need to come into place, right? On top of that, there are social requirements, there are governance requirements. So it's a more comprehensive plan beyond just environment, although environment is a big part of it. There's also certifications, so there needs to be a plan. The third one is then what are the avenue of solution, right? I know what is my gap, I know what I want to do. Now, who's going to help me to do it, right? So that's where we come in with solution partners, solution providers, definitely in the solar renewable space and others, right? To make sure that we can fit all the gaps necessary in whatever timeline and time frame, yeah. And of course, the fourth, then comes the fact that, hey, I know what I need to do already. This costs some money, right? So basically, we come in with the financing, the green financing, to ensure that the cash flow is preserved, right? And you don't have to fork out the upfront so much that it will be impossible to start the journey. So in simple layman, this will be the four, I would say, steps to a journey towards green for companies.
Thank you. That's very well thought through and very comprehensive. Secondly, I would like to have ask Skip a first question for Skip, actually. You mentioned just now about the benefit and how they get the savings. Question is, how can company ensure that they get the savings that is being promised?
The end of the day is how essentially you're asking how can you ensure that the sun will come out every morning and goes down every evening, and this repeat itself every day. And of course, the systems that you build by somebody you trust will be there performing every day. You cannot go down when the free energy is generated or is provided by the sun. So it's a good maintenance program that ensure that your system your system continue to make the money for you. And as I said, I repeat again, the next is of course the insurance. Is very important to cover the insurance, and with the insurance coverage, you will then have a total peace of mind and make sure that you will get what you were promised. Yeah. And of course, end of the day is how much you borrow versus how much you generate. You need to make sure that you are ahead of the game. So good banks funding is very essential. Yeah, that's what Roy come in. Yeah, Roy.
Thanks.
So, yes, certainly.
So you also mentioned about the energy monitoring solution and systems. Can you elaborate a little bit more on how company can benefit from having that in their companies?
Well, our energy monitoring solutions actually is two-pronged. Before we set up to do a solar PV installation, we do energy monitoring to see how you use energy. And we cannot see until we monitor, because you give me the bill, just tell me how much you use, but I don't know how much of the energy you use in a day, how much you use at a night. So this one example of energy monitoring, we monitor how this company use electricity. And of course, in the long run, you also, if you are embarked on an energy conservation program or whatever, you need to be able to see where you are using energy, where in the sense of what part of the day you are using, as well as which equipment is consuming energy in what form. So it will help you if your equipment is consuming a lot more than what it's supposed to. Of course, something is not right. You need to do maintenance, you need to do something. And in this example I'm giving is quite a shocker, because we monitor for a customer and over a 2 weekend thing, and realize that, hey, this guy's technician is coming in and turning on the equipment before the beginning of a new work week, before the end of the peak period, because that's where you attract a lot of maximum demand charges and all this. The cost that in this case is easily more than 10,000 a month, flagging probably as much as 300, 400.
With the connection.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I can just maybe I chime in a little bit. Oh yeah, Skip is back.
Let's
okay.
Go ahead, Roy.
No, I mean I want to just chime in here to say that actually this is also a very critical part in addition to implementing solar, right? Because solar generates your renewable energy, but your energy consumption can be further reduced. Then that solar renewable energy will contain an even bigger portion of your total energy usage, right? So we have also been to some of our own clients, and they do energy monitoring as well, and it can show quite a lot of data and statistics that the management may not even aware, right? Like what you say, right? Machines that one or two particular machine that is super high consumption, that actually a simple replacement of a part can reduce that bill by almost 20,000-30,000 per month, right? So this is where it's very critical to also have this sort of data and monitoring, right? As part of the whole program of going to be more sustainable as well. Not just because there's a limited renewable you can generate, is your roof space, right? So the next step is that obviously you need to also reduce your consumption. Right.
Yeah, actually, planning when you use is also important, because TNB have tariffs that penalize you on using more power at certain part of the day. So, yeah, that's part of it. Yeah, Dr. Michael, go ahead.
Thanks, both of you. So next we want to look at preparation, right? So first question for Roy, are there special requirements for companies to qualify for this sustainability assistance program and also the solar PV system financing? What do they need to prepare?
So our first of all, our solar and green financing programs range from all the way from SMEs to corporate public listed, right? So at the end of the day, for us, we do not set a specific requirement for companies who want to go green. Now, the difference then is that the type of product we utilize if it comes to financing. If it is a corporate company or a large scale manufacturer SME, we would not then utilize the solar financing program under Bank Negara, which I was sharing earlier. That one actually is a scheme rolled out by Bank Negara for SME classification. So SME classification is 50 million and below. However, that doesn't mean that we do not finance companies 50 million and above in terms of revenue. We certainly do, right? That comes under our other bank programs that are tailored to drive green financing, which we do have, right? So I think the best answer to the question, so it's not confusing, right, is that all companies technically would qualify for a green loan. It is just then the product that we use, depending on the segment that they are in.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think from installer point of view, the most interesting, attractive part of this whole program is the rates as well as the tenure, 10 years. It really opened up the space for positive cash flow. I've seen many, and juggling with you call financial engineering, it's very difficult if the term is less. So 10 years is fantastic. 7 years give you a break even, you hardly get any advantage. Yeah. So it really frees out the cash flow.
So, Skip, on the question of preparation, right? For companies who wants to embark or install solar PV system, what are things that they should be looking at in terms of preparation?
I think the most important is look for a partner that you can trust. Look for a solar company. Of course, we offer ourselves as your partner. That's most important actually, and the rest is all what money can buy. The rest, as long all of us use energy, all of us in this platform are customer of TNB, and as long as you use energy, you are my potential customer. Yeah, there's no prior preparation really from my perspective. Yeah. Okay.
So next, I would like to ask Roy about this. Probably this is in the back of many people's mind. What are the mechanics of the solar financing? How does it look like in terms of, you did mention no collateral and then 10 years. Can they include different preparation work for solar? What are some of the mechanics? Maybe you can flesh it out.
So let me give the high level ones that is the more common so-called FAQ. The first thing is the interest rate, right? So the interest rate is an effective interest rate, 5%, but however it's fixed. It's not pegged to a base lending rate, right, or an OPR rate, right? So the significance of that is that if you believe that interest rates are rising, and historically in the past 6 months they have been rising, then getting into this protects you from that rising rate because it's fixed at 5%. Yeah. So that's I think one critical point, right? In comparison to what we call industrial HP rate, right? Let's say a HP rate, right? HP rate is what we call like flat rate, right? So it's like car loan versus housing loan, right? This is reducing interest. But if you try and pull them roughly back together, then you're really looking at about 2.8 to 2.9%, so-called similar to our IHP rate, which is pretty reasonable. The second thing Skip mentioned is that it's 10 years, right? So typically non-collateralized loans, if you look at the past non-collateralized normal loan products that are not solar, they typically don't stretch until 10 years. There's another factor that if we look at historical bank products, right? So this is new and innovative to that, also to this extent. It's no collateral, but it's to 10 years, right? Now, 10 years is not in a way new, but normally 10 years you would have needed collateral in the past. Yeah. So that is another part of that, right? The other thing is that, yes, if there are preparation works that need to be put into your rooftop to renovate, to strengthen, that is related to the solar installation, right? Cannot be unrelated, like go and build a new house now. But just kidding. But basically related to the solar implementation, related to the green sustainability, then yes, it can and should be included in the purchase price, and thereby obtain the margin for the bank to finance. So some of these are some of the, I would say, maybe salient points to that. The other thing is also, there are two options a customer can opt for. There is the pay by payment schedule option, which means that the bank will disperse according to the payment schedule of the solar provider to the solar company. Yeah, so basically pay on behalf, right? The bank pays on behalf. The second option is the company pays first and gets it reimbursed, right? So there is also another option. Now, which is the better one? I think a lot of it depends on the company, right? But both are basically options that can be put in place. If there are any other questions, I don't mind to answer so on. Yeah.
In our installation process, we have come across, in fact, we currently are doing in Balakong candy factory, and we have to, they have redo their roof in the sense of refinishing and all that. Yeah, that's part of the things that we add on to as part of the service. We strengthening the roof. Yeah, we also did that. So as a required, we will add those into the scope of the project. Yeah. I also mentioned earlier that we do for multinational. For the multinational, we do a lot more. We add walkway, sprinkling system, lifeline. So their requirement is very different, and because of that, the cost also varies. Yeah.
So okay. I think there's also always mention about the system's life and systems maintenance being a key important factor. So can you share a little bit, maybe this is for Skip, the maintenance of the system, right? Because your tenure is 10 years. How does the maintenance go about?
Okay, I think you touched on the point that is happening very recently. The solar PV industry is shifting to a new technology, and the life as well as the performance have increased. I would use the word significantly from what I'm seeing. The traditional warranty, 25 years, have shifted to 30 years, and the degradation warranty from 20% after 25 years have shifted up to, I think, 90% after 30 years. So the technology is moving very fast upward. In fact, I just read another that the US is basically looking at what happened to the last solar installation in the last 10, 12 years. And they find that the performance that is promised by the manufacturer is way, I use the word way, actually the performance is much better than it promised. You know, it is lasting longer and better. And in terms of maintenance, sorry, now to answer your proper question, the maintenance part of it, you look at of course, the regular washing of the panel. Depends on where you are. You might need to wash it twice a year. Else, our Malaysia strong rain and weather is good enough to clean the panels. And then the next so-called critical or weak point is the inverter. And in our comprehensive program, we basically cover your inverter cost. If there should be any problem, we do a one-to-one swap while we talk to the suppliers how to get the inverter replaced and all that. So those are the maintenance part of it. You know, we do a regular visual inspection because the solar essentially is a solid state installation. That means everything is fixed, except of course you have a pests on your roof, rodents and things like that, or some movement. You need to check that, you know, there's no deterioration, there's no rats that beat up the cables and all that. That's the type of checks that we make, and at the end of it is your generation. And the other part we said about about monitoring is that we monitor your thing regularly. Yeah, Michael, back to you.
Thanks. So looks like the assurance of ensuring the generation is delivered to make sure that the positive cash flow is something that is being delivered via this close monitoring as well as maintenance. So looks like we can move on to the next session, right? We have heard from our two experts on the different aspects and questions that we have posed to them. And if you're interested to embark on the sustainability journey and get a solar PV system, you can start immediately saving electricity costs, improving your bottom lines, as well as having a higher profit and most importantly, positive cash flow. You can always contact us. So we will try and take some questions. Let's move on to the next section. I think there is a question on financing, which I think, Roy, you have answered, but probably you can elaborate a little bit more. Maybe it wasn't clear for some of the audience in terms of the loan rate, because I think the two numbers mentioned, 5% and also a 2.8%. Probably you can share a little bit more on that.
Yeah, so it's an effective rate of 5%. It's actually the loan rate is fixed. So that is means it's not tagged to a base lending rate that goes up and down. Yeah. So maybe the simplest way is that to compare is a home loan rate versus a car loan rate, right? So when you take a car loan, it's a fixed rate. If it's 5%, you multiply 5% over the entire loan amount, right? For the number of years, let's say 7 years or 5 years, right? However, for a reducing term rate, basically it's on a what we call the daily rest. So basically, when you pay your installment, it's paying both the principal as well as the interest. So then over time, right, the principal drops over the durations of the loan. So therefore, at the later stage of the loan, actually you're paying very little interest. So if you accumulate it from a total interest paid perspective over 10 years, then it becomes equivalent. That's what I'm saying. Like let's say you borrow $1 million, right, at 5% rate. Over 10 years, it is about equivalent to you take the total interest you paid is the 2.8 or 3%, 2.8 or 2.9% multiplied by the 1 million, right? Which you're converting it back to a straight line interest, right? So sorry for some of this financial jargon, but I'm trying to do as layman as possible. So maybe that's the best example is that comparing a car loan rate with a reducing term rate, which is like a home loan rate, right? But ultimately, at the end of the day, one of the most important consideration here is that the rate is fixed. Yeah? So you're not subject to interest rate fluctuation, and that is how you get the cash flow positive, right? Because if you cash flow positive, obviously from the calculations in your first 1-2 years, but if the rate keep going up, the BLR keep going up 1%, 2%, 3%, obviously at some certain point in time, you won't be cash flow positive, right? I mean, in that kind of extreme scenario, right? So therefore, when the rate is fixed, then you know that your calculation stands for 10 years.
Yeah, so it becomes predictable.
Yeah, I want to add.
Every month is always going to be the same. It's not like sometimes you get a message saying, oh, currently now your installment for the next month is this amount, I mean, some of us will be getting that if we have loans and the rate be going up and down, right? So I think the fix means every month for the next 10 years is the same.
Oh, every month for the next 10 years, the sun comes out and the sun goes down.
Also the sun is more reliable than the human. That's the other thing I would think.
Yes, interesting. Yeah, that's very, very attractive, really. So looks like if you have for the audience, if any questions, you can type it in. So we will try and get our experts to answer your questions. Probably as a kind of a follow-up questions to what Roy you were saying, right? So if a bank also have other loans with, say, Alliance Bank or with other banks, is that something that is a problem, or that's something that Alliance Bank can handle as well?
No, it's not a problem. Yeah, we know that many companies obviously cannot just have one banker, right? So we are happy. If we are the main banker, we are happy to do more. If you're not the main banker, we're happy to start with a smaller relationship first and prove ourselves.
Okay. So looks like our audience are not posing any questions. So perhaps I will pose one last question to Skip before we move on next. So
go ahead.
So in all the scheme of things, right, with the bank financing, capital allowance as well as the green investment tax allowance, that is also, is that possible to be enjoyed? Is that part of the whole thing as well?
I mean, as long as you invest in the capital expense, in this case, the solar PV system, you will be able to write off as a capital allowance over 6 year, 7 year period. There's a fixed formula, and so solar fall into one of these. Initial capital allowance, I think 20%, and the annual allowance, if I'm right, 14%. So that's where part of the whole financial model that we build. And as far as green investment tax allowance from MIDA or from the government, they have been moving the goalposts. In the past, it's very flexible. As long as you are interested, you want to invest in a solar PV system, they will give to you. So far, we have. I want to say that we have no rejection. They will give to you, but the qualification issue become tighter and tighter. In the past, if you have other grants from the government, this is a green investment tax allowance, you will still get it. But now it's more exclusive. That means you get one, you cannot get another. So if you want to invest in a solar PV system and you want to look into a grant, we need to explore. We need to learn or know from you what other so-called incentives you might already enjoy from MIDA and all that. So then we will take it to the officer to MIDA. I want to add that we are giving an end-to-end package service, because we don't basically tell you, hey, you talk to MIDA. No, we have been engaging MIDA for all our customers, MIDA, TNB, Suruhanjaya Tenaga, all the government department. We have been engaging with all our customers, and we take it upon ourselves to make sure that the journey is smooth. All we need is to bug you for the documents, what I need. Can you give me now, or can you give me when? That's the things that we do, but we will then carry the conversation with the government authority. This is one of the biggest headaches smaller company have, how to deal with the government, but we'll take up all that on ourselves. So with no additional cost. Yeah.
Thank you. So moving on, next, we would like to remind everyone of this complimentary offer that was mentioned. And this is an integral part of the whole solution to help you in your sustainability initiative, and also help you gain insights, analysis, and also help you, very importantly, save energy and save costs. So we'd like to thank everyone for your time today. Yeah, thanks on behalf of AmSolar and Alliance Bank Berhad. Thank you very much. We hope you enjoy our webinar today, and we hope that you also have gained meaningful insights to help your company in this solar energy savings plans, and also maximize your cash in your organization. So please get in touch with either Skip or Roy, and definitely they will be able to address your concerns, your questions, and whatever other areas that you may want to understand of. So before we say goodbye, we would like to get you to give us the evaluation, your feedback, fill in the evaluation form, and hope that everyone will have a great day. Take care, stay safe. So I'll pass the time back to Sammy.
Okay, thank you, Michael. Thank you everyone for attending today's webinar. If you have any unanswered questions or any further inquiries, please feel free to contact FMM. On behalf of FMM, I wish to thank you all the speakers and participants for support towards the webinar. We look forward to your participation and support in our future program. Thank you, and we hope to see you all again. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sammy, for organizing it. Thank you to FMM and everyone who attended. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.